Did you know, before the invention of trains, we used to run wagons on your mom? Oh, the memories. Let's just keep on going right here, give her a little highlight.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, now it's time for another installment of what has fast become the most popular segment here on the channel, Ring IQ Hate Mail!
Guy who goes by the name Double M Kasimba didn't like what I had to say about Clarissa Shields and the proliferation of 40-year-olds with barely any professional experience on a resume. He said, so Ring IQ, what do you want Shields to do then? Take Ozempic and move down?
No, go fuck off with Papoose and get pregnant.
You always criticize her for fighting in the heavyweight classes like she can magically shrink down to the smaller weight classes, so what's your solution, genius?
She can fight wherever she wants. I never told her to do otherwise.
Also, why criticize her relationship when that has nothing to do with boxing? Shields is smart. She has learnt to understand whether you like her or not, it will still MK her money.
I think he meant it will still make her money. Maybe she's smart, but you're not, misspelling grade school words while trying to condescend. So here's the skinny. Clarissa Shields can fight in whatever divisions she wants to, barren or otherwise, but what you're not going to do is impose this opinion on me that in doing so, she's the greatest woman of all times.
You can't force me to believe that.
But that is what you're trying to do, and that's what the subject really was. The subject you chose not to fully address because you know that you can't. For all those people taking shots at Amanda Serrano right now for what is the Lucretia Manzur fight, Lucretia is a more experienced fighter than Danielle Perkins, than Kay Scott, who Clarissa is about to fight, and all I'm saying is, if you're so impressed with Clarissa Shields so far for how she's been looking and who she's been fighting, how could you also criticize Amanda?
That doesn't make sense.
Like most of what comes from Clarissa Shields and those who support her that live in this very fragile universe. These are very fragile people, not dissimilar from those you see on the far left with all of their they-them pronouns.
There's definitely a parallel there.
Because their self-perception of self is not enough. They need you to play along. They need you to validate them, and if you don't, their entire universe collapses. They fall apart. They feel attacked.
If you want to identify as a pomegranate or a grapefruit, that's your prerogative.
But I'm not obligated to play along in your morbid fucking fantasy. And it's the same with Clarissa Shields. You can campaign wherever you want to, and win as many belts in as many empty weight classes as you like.
That doesn't make you the greatest woman of all times, and I'm not obligated to think so, no matter how many guilt trips your faceless fans like to lay.
Oh, simps.
Oh, because Clarissa doesn't have a choice, and she can't shrink down to more densely populated weight classes with better fighters, so what?
So fucking what? That's her problem.
I'm not gonna shortchange all those girls competing in more densely populated, difficult divisions where it's much harder to win a belt than where she fights to accommodate her circumstances. That's DEI, if I've ever heard it.
It is a simple matter of fact that oftentimes there are less than 50 girls in the heavyweight division worldwide. Most of the time it's less than that.
It's a fact.
And it's a fact that 3 to 4 major sanctioning bodies manufactured titles for her to win out of thin air, because before she got there, those titles didn't even exist, as there weren't enough girls in the heavyweight division at the time to crown them champions.
For a perspective, it's not like I don't rate Clarissa Shields. I've got her ranked at number 2, right behind Katie Taylor. You're insisting that not only she be number 1, but I have to look at her as being the greatest woman of all times.
Give me a fucking break.
What is a kingdom with no subjects, with no one to rule over? Because that's what her reigns at heavy and light heavy have been.
You don't want me talking about her relationship with Papoose, but Papoose is the creative director over at Win Records, who she just signed a deal with. There's no way for me to address that without also addressing Papoose.
These guys are always trying to gatekeep what other people are talking about, what other people are saying, because they live vicariously through these public figures, these athletes. You need to get a fucking life.
You need to get over the fact that not everybody shares your opinion about Clarissa Shields.
And if I say something you don't have an adequate response for, which I did, the best thing you can do is shut the fuck up.
Just shut up and stop crying about it.
That a stranger online, halfway around the world, doesn't feel the same way about a fighter that you do. Boo fucking who?
Men's welterweight news. Suleiman Cissoko has launched a protest against the WBC. Undefeated welterweight Suleiman has officially lodged a complaint after being bypassed by Conor Benn as the WBC's mandatory challenger, despite Cissoko winning a WBC final eliminator back in May. That was against
Mean Machine.
Former world title challenger Egidijus Gavaliauskas.
Mean Machine.
We've talked about this on several occasions here on the channel, and how the would-be activists protesting Zuffa's entry into the boxing space,
So worried about the fighters and fighter pay.
about the Muhammad Ali Revival Act and how that will affect things moving forward, never seemed to take the time out to pay attention to what was happening before we got here, to fighters like Virginia Fuchs, Kenya Enriquez, and Suleiman Cissoko, who was outright fucked by the World Boxing Council, and they didn't bat an eyelash over it. I thought you guys cared about the fighters, didn't want to see them get jerked.
Or maybe it all depends on who's doing the jerking.
In truth, I don't think that Suleiman Sissoko's protest is going to get him anywhere, because the World Boxing Council screws fighters over like this all the time. The minute you decide to play their game and go up their rank standings, relying on them to be the ones to make sure you get a shot, you won't.
You're leaving it up to them.
I don't even think fighters should go up the WBC route. I think you'd be better off going up the WBO route, the IBF, because they at least will ensure that whether you're popular or not, you're going to get your shot. Whereas the World Boxing Council, they're letting Conor Benn, a fighter who hasn't fought as a welterweight in 4 years,
Get a shot before Suleiman, who won that final eliminator that the WBC ordered while Conor Benn was off somewhere doing whatever he was doing. Conor Benn, by all rights, should not get the shot before Suleiman, but because Conor's got more money behind him, you see how it works.
You know how it is. We all do. So when I see these bleeding hearts and these activists claim that they're against the Revival Act and they're against Zuffa boxing on behalf of the fighters, you're full of it. You're full of shit.
Like all of those climate change activists who wish to protest in the United States and the United Kingdoms and other areas in the West, when the biggest contributor to pollution in the atmosphere is actually China. Why don't you go over there and try that shit?
My pussy hurt. And they're a bigger contributor, at least, than the United States or the United Kingdom, but these would-be activists don't do anything about it, like the activists we see in boxing. It's all for show. It's all a performance, to give off the appearance of caring and empathy.
Look at what a nice person I am. I am so enlightened.
Shakur Stevenson recently stated, "I'll fight for a Zuffa belt, WBO, the IBF, the WBA. I just won't fight for the WBC. I don't want to fight for their belt. I'm cool. I don't want it."
Shakur Stevenson wants nothing to do with the World Boxing Council's belt in his latest comments.
Because of the stunt they tried to pull with him, trying to collect sanctioning fees for a fight that wasn't for one of their titles, that wasn't
Even a WBC title fight, it was for the WBO.
tantamount to extortion, expecting to get a piece of the action for any fight within proximity of a green and gold title. For that, you can keep it. For the way you screw over fighters like Dillian White, Kenya Enriquez, Virginia Fuchs,
Suleiman Cissoko, keep your prestigious green and gold title. The more fighters that decide to forego the WBC route, the less prestigious it becomes.
the negative effects that this has on a division and the sport is that if Suleiman Cissoko would have got a shot when he was supposed to, he would have beat Mario Barrios long before Ryan got his hands on him, and then Ryan would have had to go through Suleiman. Maybe Ryan would have won, maybe Ryan would have lost, but Suleiman would have got a shot and made a name for himself. The way you guys are doing it, you're suppressing the real talent in these divisions to accommodate the more popular fighters. Not because they've got more ability.
We don't know because you guys don't order the fights when you're supposed to.
You don't want to find out. You don't want to jeopardize the hefty sanctioning fees you collect from a Brian Garcia, from a Conor Benn.
It makes the talent pool in a division more shallow when you don't allow the ranks to move along the way they're intended to.
Now, I'm not trying to convince you that Dana White is this amazing guy or that Zuffa boxing is the answer to all of boxing's problems. I'm just telling you, they can't be any worse than the World Boxing Council.
That if you're gonna clutch at your pearls every time Dana dunks his donut in a cup of coffee, there's a lot more going on that's been going on than just that. You're very selective with your outrage.
If it really were about the fighters and protecting what is in their best interests, you'd have a lot less to say about Zuffa and a lot more to say about the World Boxing Council, but I don't expect Nico Ali Walsh and the other performative activists to have much to say about Suleiman Cissoko and the other fighters the WBC has screwed over.
In men's junior middleweight news, I'm sure you've all heard by now, Ortiz and Goldenboy reach amicable settlement after legal battle. Ortiz, his manager Rick Mirrigan, and Goldenboy were originally scheduled to go to arbitration on Tuesday. The hearing was postponed as the two sides worked towards a deal, which eventually came together and was announced earlier today. Our relationship with Vergil has spanned more than a decade, and we are proud to have played a role in his development into one of the sport's premier fighters.
Goldenboy Promotions CEO and chairman Oscar De La Hoya said via press release, "We look forward to continuing our partnership and working together with Vergil, Rick Mirrigan, and the rest of Team Ortiz to deliver the biggest fights possible for boxing fans." The legal troubles began in January when Ortiz filed a lawsuit in Nevada court to get out of his contract with the promotional company that was between broadcasters at the time. The 28-year-old from Grand Prairie, Texas, was seeking to make a fight with Jaron Ennis without Goldenboy's involvement. Ortiz also believed he was out of his contract due to Goldenboy's broadcasting deal with DAZN, ending on December 31st of the previous year. The two sides, however, were negotiating another deal for this year and the next one. Goldenboy eventually obtained a temporary restraining order against Ortiz on February 13th, preventing him from making the bout with Ennis or any fight without their involvement. Now that Ortiz and Goldenboy have reached a deal, a fight with the ring's number one junior middleweight Ennis has become a possibility. Once again, the circumstances have changed, however, after the Philly native became a unified junior middleweight champion by beating Xander Zayas via a 7th-round stoppage this past June. Ortiz, the ring's number 2 ranked junior middleweight, last fought on November 8th, beating Erickson Lubricant by 2nd-round stoppage. I'm very grateful that Goldenboy and I were able to come to an understanding and resolve everything, Ortiz said. I'm excited to move forward and make the biggest fights happen, including the Ennis fight. My only focus is on delivering unforgettable fights for the fans, and I know my team and I will accomplish that together.
Hey, what's up, guys? I am extremely happy to announce that Goldenboy and Vergil Ortiz have patched things up. Let's make the biggest fight happen. Boots Ennis versus Vergil Ortiz this year.
First thing Oscar's talking about upon making amends with Vergil is the Boots Ennis fight. A part of me feels like that's for show, so that the top brass at DAZN see it, because that's a fight that they wanted, and a fight that Goldenboy failed to deliver on. So Oscar must be feeling the pressure.
At least enough to bring it up. At least enough to make it seem like that's their focus now.
Vergil reacted to the news by saying, "I'm very happy that me and Goldenboy worked things out and are continuing to work with each other to make the best fights possible for the fans. I especially want to give my manager, Rick Mirrigan, a huge thank you. He was there for me when I was at my lowest, and he was there for me this time around as well. Rick stuck his neck out for me, knowing he would be slandered by everybody, but he did it anyways and weathered the storm. Every boxer should want a manager like Prick."
Dick Shittigan is the reason you found yourself in that mess in the first place. If we're going off the cover story, he's the one who tried to backdoor Oscar.
Bozy and Team Ennis are of the opinion that this entire legal kerfuddle between Team Ortiz and Goldenboy happened right on time to stop the Boots fight from happening, because to them, it's all fake.
This was just a way for them to get out of the Boots fight and save face by making it seem like there was this big legal problem.
But if we're gonna leave the conspiracy theories behind and just go off of the cover story, the only reason you found yourself in this mess is because of Rick. Because he tried to backdoor Oscar. So if you ended up losing any money and you ended up losing any time, it's because of Rick, and the least he could do is stand by you. Vergil is one of these fighters who's happy to let other people do all the thinking for him, but a younger fighter in Xander Zayas.
The only reason he ended up fighting Boots is because he wanted it, against Bob Arum and Top Rank's best wishes.
He made it clear that was the fight for him, that was the fight that he wanted, and that was the fight that he got. Whereas Vergil, if what you wanted to do was fight Boots, you would have fought him. You can't keep hiding behind Oscar, behind Rick.
If Xander, a fighter who's younger than you, can be his own advocate, why can't you for the things that you want? You're happy letting all these other people do all the thinking and all the talking for you. Sebastian Fundora is the same way.
Both of you guys are pushing 30. You can't do the little boy thing.
Vergil needs to start speaking up because it's hurting his image. You can get mad at Rick Merrigan for a while, but he's a manager. Just the manager doing what a manager is going to do. Oscar is just doing what a promoter is going to do. But you, Vergil, you're supposed to be the fighter. You're supposed to be the one doing the fighting. And if you wanted to fight Boots...
So maybe that door is momentarily closed because Boots cares more about fighting Josh Kelly than he cares about fighting Vergil.
Fine. Go fight Sebastian. I said it in my last video. I've been saying it this whole time. You are the WBC's interim champion. You have been for 2 years. And so you can't get Boots this year. So what? You've still got Sebastian. You're supposed to be the one beaten down the WBC's door to order that fight with him. If what Boots is interested in is belts, and you want Boots, get a belt.
Got all these other fights via the World Boxing Council getting ordered. When Bivol won the WBC title at light heavyweight, not but 2 weeks later, they were ordering him to fight David Benavidez. In the cruiserweight division, they just ordered Noel to fight that same guy.
Yeah, because David petitioned them to do that.
Vergil,
when are you going to petition them to order the fight between you and Sebastian? You have to be your own advocate. The same way Xander could do it, and he's younger than you, is the same way you can do it. So whatever's not happening is because you don't want it to happen.
I'm sick of this shit.
All this fucking shit. With Vergil Ortiz.
Chronically inactive fighter. Always sidelined. Always on the bench for one reason, some reason, or another.
Boring.
If Boots is not interested in you at this moment, then you get him interested by fighting Sebastian and taking his belt. That's what you can do.
See if he does it.